Hello everyone, I wanted to walk you through what the Essentials of Running Gait Analysis course is like, what to expect inside the course, what you'll get, and what some of the things that you'll find when you get into the modules in this course. So as you can see here, I have a couple things outlined and I want to take you through and just go through each of these together. So first, the course introduction. You'll find a couple things in the course introduction, and some of it's the background of why we created this course, and I'll tell you a little bit of that right now. I saw a lot of runners that came in and asked me questions, including, what can I do to run faster? What can I do to run safer? How should I run correctly? Or maybe what can I do with this running injury, and how can I rehabilitate and get better with being able to run in a way that is safe for my body? And that led to me not only doing running gait analysis and starting my own running gait analysis clinic, but also it led to the creation of this course. And so I want to take you through each of the modules and what to expect. Now, this is something I wish I had when I started doing running gait analysis. And so that is my passion, is to hopefully help you get to a place where you can not only do a great running gait analysis, but start your own running gait analysis clinic too. So in Module 1, I start with some of the opportunities with running gait analysis. And some of this is to kind of get your juices flowing. Talking about some of the great things you can do applying running gait analysis to a PT's plan of care, or how running gait analysis can help PTs, patients, clinics, and a whole bunch of other things. And then I get into some of the barriers to entry. What is it about running gait analysis that not everyone is doing it? What are some of the common injuries? And then I do warn you, each of these has a little homework. Now, I will say it's not homework that you'd say, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. It's pretty approachable, pretty easy homework. And in my view, it's almost fun. That might be the first time I said fun and homework in the same sentence. However, we talk about some of the homework agenda items that are including thinking up your own brand name or what you might want to call your running gait analysis clinic. And also looking around your current setup, where you work, and saying, hey, how much of the stuff do I have that I can actually start a running gait analysis clinic? Believe it or not, there's some people that can even start a running gait analysis clinic within 24 hours. So there's a lot of great things we talk about and some of the ways we can apply running gait analysis. And then in Module 2, we get into some of the fundamentals and the details. And so in this module, we always do a recap of the first module, but then we talk about some of the more information as it regards to what's the history, what's the definition, what's some of the instruments that we use. And then we get into the phases of gait. And when we teach DPT students this, or physical therapy students this information, of course we use the phases of gait and introduce this, but we build upon those principles that you learned in PT school. We learn and apply them and take you through all the way from a walking gait analysis to a running gait analysis. And I want to highlight this part right here in particular. And this is the running gait analysis findings template. And this is something I created that really outlines how to go through a systematic running gait analysis. And of course, as I warned before, there's always a little bit of homework. You'll see that at the end here. But before we get into some of the homework, we actually go through some of the common running gait deviations, both from the lateral view, the posterior view, and talk about some of the information of what to expect. It starts to train your brain to pick out those gait deviations. I want that to be second nature for you before you're done. I want you to be able to look at a running gait analysis and within the first couple seconds go boom, 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 boom. Here's a couple things that I see that are wrong. On the posterior view, boom, boom, boom. Here's a couple things that are wrong. Here is a plan of care. Obviously, we take a little longer than that to do a running gait analysis, which is why I want to give you some practice. The case studies 1, 2, and 3 are all good practice, and then as I mentioned, that homework before, doing some of the running gait analysis on your own. Let's go back to the modules and talk about Module 3. And I actually think Module 3 is potentially the hardest, but it's also the most exciting. Well, I think they're all exciting. But in Module 3, we go over how to apply your running gait analysis. So that Module 2 recap, we get into Module 3. And then again, I wanted to make this really easy to follow. For me, when I hear information that isn't easy to follow, I fall asleep or don't pay attention or zone out. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to get all of this vital information so you can apply it, help your runners, and help yourself grow professionally. So in this module, we go through a really organized way of going through and saying, okay, well, what do we see as ways we can change running gait? Well, we can do things like running gait deviations or corrective exercises or manual therapy and footwear. A lot of information on footwear that we can expand on and talk about. It's a whole topic unto itself. And then we obviously talk about some of the training, what happens with mileage, volume. These are all questions that I've gotten from patients in the past. What shoes to wear? What else can I do in terms of changing my mileage? Should I run with different cadence? We get into all those things. But then we get really specific and we start talking about the ankle and the heel strike. We talk about potentially the knee and different injuries you'd find in each of those areas. So shin splints, plantar fasciitis, overpronation. We talk about things like narrow base of support and limited terminal hip extension. And we go through not only to identify those running gait analysis deviations, but we also talk about a treatment plan that's going to get your patient better. So what happens when you see someone with patellofemoral pain syndrome? Or what happens when you see someone with greater trochanteric pain syndrome? What do you do? What's your plan of care? What do you want to talk about? Well, you want to talk about the footwear. You want to talk about the corrective exercises. You want to talk about the running form deviations and cues to change that running form to improve the way they're running. And stuff that they're really going to be able to actually do. What's your plan of care? How might it integrate into a PT plan of care? So in this section here, in the end of Module 3, we end up talking about not only the plan of care, but the report you're going to give your patients, the videos, the different analysis that you're going to provide for them, how you can make it easy for them to read and follow along. But then what happens if that patient needs some follow-up care? Do they need follow-up visits? Do they need a plan of care? How many times will they need to come back to see you? And some of that's your own clinical decision making. And then to give you some practice, we've got these case studies 1, 2, and 3, and some homework to go practice some of that information on your own. So back to the modules. I told you Module 3 was probably my favorite, but I might have lied to you because Module 4 is pretty exciting too. And this is really your step-by-step process of how to start your own running gait analysis clinic. And some of you might be thinking to yourself, well, I just want to learn the content or I just want to learn the information. Okay, that's fine. But I think that starting your own clinic, even if it's not starting your own clinic to make profit off of it, even if it's just something where you say, hey, I want to be able to run a running gait analysis clinic from start to end with all the components. I want to be able to do the thing after I take your course. That's what this is designed to do. So we go through the steps, not only about what you'll need to do to launch it, for example, what forms you might need, what different startup things you might need to buy, what you might need to get into, or what you might need to tell patients. We go through all those things. So step by step, my goal is to have you be able to start by step 4. And we talk about buying the equipment, what equipment is mandatory, what equipment is potentially optional, what's going to set you apart from other running gait analysis clinics or other PTs doing running gait analysis, and then some of the operational logistics as well. And the operational logistics can get into things like what forms might you need. Make sure that you're legal. Make sure that you have everything you need when the patient comes in to be able to get going. You might need to give that patient a questionnaire, or maybe you want to give them a particular functional outcome measure. And you probably want to take a medical history and a couple other things. And I actually provide all these forms for you so you can pretty much plug in your brand or your logo or your name and you're off and running. And yes, that pun is intended. In step 3, we go through designing your patient care flow. So are you going to spend 30 minutes with this patient or runner? Are you going to spend an hour with this runner? Are you going to do 15 minutes? And I obviously will give you my opinion on what I think is good quality care and what is good for patients. However, it is up to you on what really works for you. And then lastly, step 4, how to get patients in the door. How do you talk to your current patients? How do you talk to potential patients? How might it be good to get yourself out in the medical community? What are some good marketing things you can do? All that stuff that unfortunately we don't get taught in PT school, but it's essential to get something like a running gait analysis clinic off the ground. Because if you don't have any runners or any patients, it's going to be hard to do running gait analysis. So that's the little bit long and short of the course. I want to highlight one more thing here for you, and that is we do go through all of the forms that you need. So the questionnaires, the different medical waivers, the template. So you have all these too. This was something that a lot of people asked to get and asked to have a copy of. And so I included it here for you as a little bonus information and bonus documents that you might need. And so included here is also an example of a running gait analysis report and also some good templates like the Rancho Los Amigos gait analysis template. And we use some of this when we go through the course as well. So if you have any questions on the course, if you have any questions on what you'll be learning or what the goals are, you are more than welcome to contact me or to go over any of this information with me. My email is jjalene@solutionseducation.com. And if you are someone that's a little hard to spell, like myself, it is JJELLIN @solutionseducation, CELUTIONS education.com. And again, you can always go to the website solutionseducation.com and you can find our contact information there, or you're welcome to respond to any of the emails that you get from us or the new content you get from us. I look forward to seeing you inside the course. I look forward to seeing great running gait analyses from all of you, and until then, take care.